Sales versus lettings. Why the hell can't each department get on with each other? Today I'm joined by the Tracey Thompson, who used to be supremo boss of trading at both Lomond and Hunters. Thanks for joining me today, Tracey. Tracey, sales versus lettings. Chalk and cheese, oil and water.
Absolutely. Why can't they just get along? I don't get it. There's so many crossovers where they could help each other, but there is a mix of egos going on.
Estate agents with egos. Well, no, I should say about letting agents. No, I'm going to say estate agents with egos.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I started off in sales. I loved sales. Absolutely loved it. There was nothing like it. What is lettings? Poor relation. Yeah?
Yes.
And then years later, I went into lettings. Loved it. Fast paced. Loved all the legislation. Loved the quick deals. It was great. But what I couldn't understand was why the salespeople still had the attitude that I had. And don't want to deal with you. Oh, it's nothing but headache. It's nothing but hassle. But actually, lettings is where the money is. The constant money. You're getting the rents in every month. You're getting all the different things that come along with lettings. Whereas sales, you are relying on a single point of exchange or completion for that money.
Can I give you my thoughts? And
I'd love
let's
to.
throw it back. Okay. Now I'm going to make some sweeping statements here, and I'm aware that you're aware of the models, but most estate agents, I'm going to use the disc profiling system, which I know that's something you're aware of, and the ladies and gentlemen might be aware of it as well. But on the disc profiling, estate agents, in terms of the listers and the lettings department, couldn't be further away from the point. Now I'm making sweeping judgments here. Hold your tongue, please. I will give you a green light for you to go for Vesuvius in a second. But my understanding is that most estate agents on the valuer listers side are on the disc profile and mostly influencers. They're above the line in terms of being outward as opposed to reserved, and they are more people orientated as opposed to process orientated. Again, I'm making sweeping statements, and again, you can shoot me down in flames in a second. And I know there are better models, and we are going to be proving it, ladies and gentlemen. So if you do want to laugh at my expense, then we'll have a look at that. Whilst most letting agents are below the line, they're more reserved and they're more process driven. So you have outward going people here, and you have process driven here and reserved. And this one hates being criticised, and this one fears rejection. That's why most estate agents are shit at the estate agency, because technical term, I'm happy to say this, because they fear the rejection, and the lettings department don't like to be criticised, and God forbid if you do criticise them, because that's end of the world. It is like oil and water. Go on then, talk to me. How do we sort this shit out?
Yeah, it's not true. It's not true.
It is true.
There's two different parts to lettings. There is the front end, where you will go out, present, get the business. And there's the other part where the property management is,
Yes.
where the empathy and the caring is. Okay? So the front end, where the two could really mix and mix well.
Yes, because actually they should be very similar.
Yeah.
But we roll the roles together in lettings, don't we? A lot. The front end go and get the business, and the back end property management. That tends to be the same person.
No, absolutely not.
It does though in real life.
Well, companies that I've worked with, your lister tends to go out, get the business, does the lettings negotiation, does the deal, and then it gets passed over to the property management section. Much smaller estate agents do both, very small ones.
So the firms which you already mentioned at the top of the video, they do split the roll up.
Yeah.
So they should actually work together particularly well, shouldn't they?
They should, Chris, but they don't. They absolutely don't.
So even when you split the roll up of the property manager and the lettings lister, the lettings lister should get on should get on better with the sales lister.
Yeah, but they don't. There is this ego between the two departments.
Is that too alpha male? I know mainly females, but in terms of who's got the biggest what's the name?
Well, it's partly because sales don't want to give over their their deal over to lettings, or lettings don't want to give a property that was let over to sales. So that can be a little bit of a blocker.
Okay, so surely that's because they're worried about bonuses, is it?
It can be. It can be.
Or do you think it's deeper than that? I've got my opinions, but I want yours first.
I think it's hereditary. I think for so long these sales and lettings have been so separate that unless it's somebody brings them together and truly believes that they can work really well together, then I think it won't change. But here's an idea for you, Chris.
Talk to me.
Yeah. Why don't you have a lister that does sales and lettings?
God forbid. Whoever thought that one?
I did
They'd
it.
have two bosses then, wouldn't they?
Depends how big the agency is. But why not change the model? Because, okay, there's over 160 pieces of regulation and legislation. We know this. But how many do you actually need to know to go out and understand a landlord and give him
Or her.
him or her, yes, reassurance that you are going to be able to do the job. Knowledge is power. I think somebody should be able to list a house and list a lettings property. They're basically the same thing. It's sales.
You think that's the answer?
Well, it's one of the answers. What do you think?
I'm of the opinion that most salespeople in a estate and letting agency are not necessarily there for the money or the bonus, due to their personality type being an I type.
You mean the ego?
The ego.
Oh, a huge part of it, Chris.
Is that they see their sole role, their raison d'etre, their purpose for being, is to ensure that they don't lose the listing, and doesn't, because how many times have you seen a valuer put a million houses on the market when they lose 1,000,001? It is like a dagger through the heart being stripped from the torso of the body, beating still and chopped up like chopped liver, and it is such at the end of the world. I mean, we've all been there. All the valuers watching this, and I think if we can, as estate agents, what am I trying to say here? Yeah, I think if we as an estate agents can learn to love rejection,
Resilience, Chris. Resilience.
we're on a winner. Because how many times do you hear an estate agent lose a property to overvaluing, but then don't actually then follow it up with a nurture program? Because, well, that's, it's a bit like, I can only talk as a heterosexual male, but when you were 14 and you asked the girl out and she said no, the last thing you did was go and see her all the time.
Follow up.
He said, effing bitch. But that's how people think. That's how valuers think, is that give me a call if the matter changes. There you go. No one's going to give you a call if you say that, because the vendor's not going to ring you back saying you were right and I was wrong. And you're not going to ring them because effing bitch.
Well, don't we need a rethink here?
Of course we do.
We need a rethink, because why didn't you get the valuation? That's a big thing to start with.
I mean, I'm being really cheeky now. I know I've said this a few times and I get shot at, but I'm going to keep saying it because, hey, who cares? I genuinely think most estate agents see estate agency as Tinder for ugly people. I didn't get the okay. I didn't get the bond, but at least they like me. I didn't get the listing, but at least they like me.
Really?
Now, that's not my line. That's from a chap called Benjamin Dene.
It's not a great line.
It's
not a great line
like PC.
from where I'm sat. No, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
But that's, honestly, it is. I think until we learn that, it's interesting. In the previous video, we used the word customer service.
Yeah.
Hence, we are here to serve.
Yes.
And I think most estate agents see estate agencies there to serve them.
Yeah. I absolutely do as well. I think they do, but I think we miss a trick.
You see, if you go abroad to, say, Australia or something, they have a bit more D in them in their profiling. And again, I know we're going to go and look at your which is what you're famous for. But they don't really care whether they lose it or not. They do care, but they don't care. And I think the best estate agents I've seen have that outward going I profile, but they have a little bit of D in them as well. Which again, ladies and gentlemen, just Google. There's this new website called Google. Just type in disc profile, DISC. And again, I's are estate agents, D's are bosses, and C's are lettings managers. Okay, I'm sweeping statements. This is really winding you up, isn't it? Do you know? And do you know though who I think make the best estate agents? S's, but they're not attracted to the industry. Now, am I talking bollocks or
A little bit.
Yeah, of course. At least I'm putting your mind on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sweeping generalisations, but I think I'm spot on.
I think the world's changing. I think estate
Go on then,
agencies changing.
talk to me then. Well, I got tell me because I'm not seeing much.
Well, I'm seeing it in the agents that I go to see that really want to invest in understanding people's personalities.
They are those self-selecting. That the fact is that they're in the minority,
Yeah, unfortunately.
which is a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, massive shame.
Do you
Yeah.
do you think if we changed the way we treated our team and treated ourselves and be aware of how we operate and how we act, we would make better estate agents, earn more money, and be happier?
Yes, I really do. I really do. You know, I could say that, my husband wouldn't let me do his profile. He said for obvious reasons. But I know where he sits on the insights wheel. And he is my absolute opposite. But I have learned to not manipulate. I've learned to adapt and connect to how he makes decisions so that I have a much better understanding that he needs to have time to think. He's not like me.
He's a reflector.
He's a reflector. I will leap and then have a look where I've gone. And he absolutely does not. He needs to understand the world around him.
I've profiled my wife not using your insight, but in a different, more of a basic one called DISC, which as I said I'm going to keep banging on about. But it has helped. What is particularly interesting though is that you have to be conscious about it, and if you are on subconscious mode,
Yeah.
and you think my missus has given me some of that. It's very easy for me to be on that mode, and then all of a sudden I've just got to I've got to be, again, self-awareness. Hold on a second. The reason she's saying that is this.
You know as well as I do, Chris, we can press a button very easily to get a reaction we want. The most intuitive and intellectual, what's the word? Being an adult about it, you do not press that button. You think of another way to actually do it so that you get a much better reaction. It's easy to get a quick reaction from anybody.
Indeed. And coming back to the original question of sales versus lettings, if we know how people think and act and operate, both as ourselves but as others, then we know what buttons flick their switch, we know what grinds their gears, and from that we can get better for ourselves, we can get more out of our colleagues and also potential clients as well, which means that we earn more money and are happier. Well, there you go. We've put the worlds to rights on that one.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you for your time today.